Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. David Hooper, and this is another episode of the Unstoppable Introvert Project. And today, I am thrilled to welcome our guest, Leila Levchenko. Leila is a business and economics student, and Leila has worked as a model and also does content creation as well. Leila has her own blog where she provides study tips, mental health support, motivation support, personal development, all the things we love to talk about in this podcast. And lastly, but by no means least, Leila's also the vice chairman at Save the Children Youth in Copenhagen South. So, Leila, I'm so excited to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And I think what you're doing, we're going to get into all of this, but what you're doing on social media and, really coming across in a really open and honest and transparent way about lots of different things just made me want to reach out to you. And then I discovered your blog, which we'll get into when it comes to things like personal development. It's so important. It's right up my street. And the thing that I always love to ask my guests first relates to the title of the podcast. So the Unstoppable Introvert Project is the title of the podcast. So I'm really interested to know, what does being unstoppable look like to you?
Well, it looks like being able to do what you love and not think so much about what other people are thinking about you. Like when I started my Instagram, I was always thinking like, what would my family and friends think if I started to make content? And I just did it. So I think being unstoppable, what that looks to me is being able to do what you love and not think so much about what other people may say.
What a great answer. And it's so important, especially if you're looking to have good mental health. Making sure that you are happy with your actions is so important. And how would you get to that point? Because I think a lot of people listening today are really self-conscious and are really aware of what other people think. So way before you even started posting on Instagram and all that sort of thing, how did you get to that point where you actually were comfortable?
Well, it was pretty hard to get to this point. Like when I was younger, I was an introvert, and because of that, I got bullied a lot throughout school and then high school. So in university, I just decided to kind of focus on myself and what I want to do in my future because um, I'm going to focus on me. I'm not going to think so much about what other people are thinking because this is my future and this is something that I have to live with for the rest of my life. And I just started focusing on myself and prioritize myself. And that's how I build up my mental health to be able to post all these videos and also writing my blog.
Amazing stuff. I'm so pleased you've got to that point because you're having an impact on so many people. And hopefully after this episode, there's even more people who can get onto your page and really engage with you. Before we dive into some of that really juicy good stuff, for anybody who hasn't met you yet, what would you say to them in terms of who you are and how would you describe what you do?
Well, I'm just a girl doing what I love. I'm a student and I love to create videos. I just like to have fun and just enjoy life. I take one step at a time and I'm really easygoing when it comes to meeting new people. And I'm an introvert. If you didn't know that, I'm not really good at talking to people. So if you want to meet me, just please be aware of that.
Where does your story really begin then, Leila, when it comes to gaining a bit more confidence and starting to be more aware of things like mental health and personal development?
Well, it started when I started modeling. I remember it was really tough when I started modeling and when I started to do beauty pageants because everyone always told me like what to do and how I needed to look like. And that really destroyed my mental health a lot, like especially after doing beauty pageants. That was really tough. Like I got shouted at, I was told that I wasn't good enough. So after that, I created my blog, and I just decided to focus a lot on my mental health, and everything I found out, I'm gonna share that on my blog.
That's amazing. And what age were you when you started being in beauty pageants?
I think I was 21 years old. I don't really remember the exact age I started doing beauty pageants, but I think I was 20 or 21. And I'm 23 years old now.
And that to me is almost something that is almost like a contradiction for an introvert. And I think that one, that shows introverts can do anything. You know, it's fantastic that you didn't allow being an introvert stop you from going into that such a high pressure environment. But two, I'm really interested to know, how did you cope with that? Because when I'm imagining you doing that, there's lots of eyes on you, you're the center of attention maybe, and all the things us as introverts probably think, oh, I'm not sure if I'd like that. So how did you manage that?
Well, it was really hard to manage that because, you know, everyone is looking at you and you just know that they're going to judge you, like, especially when you are modeling or like doing beauty pageants, you just know like all these eyes are on you and people are always looking at you. So what I did is basically I was just trying to focus a lot on myself and not as much on the people around me. I just took one step at a time, and I just tried to do it. Like I told myself not to think too much, just do it and see what happens. And it actually turned out great when I stopped, when I didn't like overthink that much.
Fantastic. And what does being in kind of beauty pageants look like? What does the preparation look like, and then the main event, and then how do you progress in that?
Well, you start by going into an audition, and then you have like a boot camp you need to be on, and then there's this big show you have to participate in.
Talk to me a little bit about auditions, because I can't claim to be an actor, unfortunately, but I did have experience of doing auditions and things like that, and it was pretty scary and nerve-wracking. And I think that some of the things that hold introverts back are the thought of being in those situations where you have to perform, there's a lot of pressure on you, like auditions or a major interview or a presentation, that sort of thing. So, how were you able to successfully go into an audition and hold your nerve and not let the nerves take over?
Yes, I have been auditioning for different things since I was young. I started performing when I was 13 years old, and it was always so nerve-wracking to just like go into an audition. I remember I was shaking, I couldn't breathe, I felt like I was gonna faint any minute, and it still happens right now. So how I'm dealing with it is I try to calm myself a little bit down and just think about like what is the worst that could happen. Personally, for me, I think like what has helped me a lot is that I know like if I fail this audition, then there will be another thing. Maybe this thing wasn't meant for me, and therefore I failed. Maybe another thing will come up, and it will I will succeed. So personally for me is that I try to take a deep breath, and I'm just trying to go in there and I'm trying to do my best. And if my best isn't good enough, then it's okay. I will just find something else that I can do. Like just because you don't get accepted or just because you fail like one time, it doesn't mean that you have failed in life. You should always just try to take another opportunity. There will always be another opportunity for you. So I think for me, it's basically to just relax a little bit and just close your eyes and just do it and do your best.
Such great advice, so powerful. And I think I'd really like to know, how did you get to that point? Were you always thinking like that? Or did you get to that point where you now thought, you know what, I didn't get this role or this thing because there might be something better. There might be a reason behind it, or is that something you've learned along the way?
It is something that I have learned a lot along the way, because when I was young, and if I didn't get this, if I didn't get that, then I would beat myself up. I would tell myself that I'm not good enough, that I don't deserve this, and that's why I didn't succeed. But as I started to grow up, I realized that it's not always my fault. Like, maybe this audition just wasn't for me, or maybe they wanted someone else, or like maybe I just didn't have like the right hair or something. And then there will always be like another audition where they want you because they like you for who you are. And you shouldn't be in an environment where people don't appreciate you. You should be in an environment where people like you for who you are. So that was kind of my way of thinking about it.
I think so many people could learn from that exact sentence that you've just said. It's so powerful, and I'm so pleased you were be able to do that. And then when you do start to go into the actual pageant, what's that like? Because that really is people staring and judging you. That's what it is, basically, isn't it?
Yes, it is very scary. And I remember when I first like had this audition, and then I found out that I'm gonna participate in this beauty pageant. I was so scared. I remember thinking that I wasn't good enough, that I'm not beautiful enough, that I'm not like gonna be as
Yes.
good as the other girls. But then I just tried it, and I took one step at a time. I tried to focus a lot on myself, because in these beauty pageants, especially the one I participated in, people can be very mean. So it's a really good idea to just focus on yourself. And if someone says something mean to you, or like is mean to you, it has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with them. I think my biggest advice is just to focus on yourself and not so much on what others perceive of you or what others think about you.
Yeah, that does sound really, really hard. And when you say others are making comments, is that other competitors, or is that the judges, or who are making those comments where you have to kind of brush it off?
Well, it was some of the participants, and then I had a judge basically shout at me. And I remember, like, it was the most scary thing I have ever experienced. So one of the judges were basically like shouting at me because she misunderstood something I said. And while she was shouting at me, she was smiling. Yeah, it was so scary. I have never experienced anything like that. And I remember going home, and I was so sad about it. I was so scared, but and I actually, after that experience, I had to deal with this judge again, because I had to participate in the competition, like in the big show, and that judge would be there, and that judge has a lot to say. So what I told myself was basically, I'm just gonna close my eyes, and I'm just gonna take a deep breath, and I'm just gonna do it. And while I'm doing this, I'm gonna participate, and I'm gonna be nice towards everyone, and I'm just gonna be a professional girl. Yes, but yeah, it was a really scary experience. And I think it was meant to happen, because of that experience, I started to be more like, I don't know, I think I became stronger after that experience. I think it was meant to happen, because like I have never had anyone shouting at me like that, or like acting the way that this judge did. And after that, I started to create more videos on Instagram, because I wasn't as scared as I was before, because now I have experienced this. So nothing is more scary than that. And I also started my own YouTube channel, and I started to write a blog. And yeah, I just started doing a lot of things because of this one scary experience.
Wow, that is so powerful. That is so powerful. And that's kind of like what we talked about before a little bit, in that you were able to take something that was negative and do something really positive with that, and yes, again, so pleased you were able to do that, because although that experience for you was horrible, it sounds horrible, it's strange, isn't it, how one negative experience can then lead to a couple of positive experiences. Would you say that because of all of that, you're now pretty thick-skinned, you can take comments and almost brush them off fairly easily now, or is that something you still have to work at?
Well, it's still something that I have to work at, but I was bullied when I was younger. I was bullied all the way through middle school. It was horrible. And then I had trouble getting friends in university because I was an introvert. And then I participated in this beauty pageant where like all of this stuff happened, a lot of horrible stuff. And because of that, I think I have become like mentally very strong. I still struggle with some stuff, but it doesn't like if something bad happens, it doesn't really have a big impact on me because I know that no matter what happens, I'm gonna get through it. So it doesn't really matter for me, like if something bad happens, I know everything is gonna be good because I have experienced something worse in the past.
Absolutely, and I'm so sorry that you've had to go through that. But look at you now is all I'd say. And as horrible and awful those experiences were, you are helping so many people now, which I'm so pleased that you are doing. And speaking of which, how are your university courses going at the moment?
Oh, they are so hard. I have a lot of exams and all that stuff. Yeah, but I'm gonna get through it. It's horrible, but we can do it.
Absolutely, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. And the course you're studying, business and economics.
Yes, it's called General Management and Analytics.
Very cool. And what's the ambition there? Is there a certain reason you took that course, or are you just interested in learning about that?
Well, I really want to work in business administration, so I'm hoping to get a job in that when I have finished like my whole education.
And how have you found that university journey? Has it been what you were expecting?
No, it's not. It's extremely difficult to find friends. I I'm friends with the people in my study group, but it's extremely hard to find new friends because, especially in Denmark, people like to if they have found a group, it's really difficult to get into that group. And especially for me, because I have trouble sometimes speaking to people, I don't really know what to say, so it's difficult for me to get friends.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it is a difficult situation. And I don't think it's one that the universities particularly help with either. And when does your course finish? When do you graduate?
In 2025,
Oh, so 1 year to go.
yes.
Excellent. Oh, that's really, really cool. And at what point did you start doing your blog?
Well, I started doing that, I think, a few months ago, uh, around September last year.
Yeah, and I've had a look at the blog, and we'll share all of Leila's um, key contacts at the bottom so you can follow her and her blog and all those different great things that Leila's doing. And where did that come from? When was the moment where you thought, I need to be publishing a blog about all those great topics that you cover? Was there a specific moment or an incident where you thought, this is the time now, I need to do this?
Well, not really. I just started like building websites, and then I thought to myself, I have experienced all of these things. What happens if I start sharing all these experiences with the world? And then I just started writing a lot of blog posts, and now it's amazing. I get so amazing feedback on my blog, and I'm really happy about it.
You should be. Yeah, I spent some time on there this week just preparing for our interview, and it's so good. So the topics are really impactful, and the engagement as well. Loads of comments and all those sorts of things are so great. Now, a topic that you've talked about quite a lot, which I was quite interested in, is things like a routine and being productive and things like that. So, what's a good morning routine for you?
Well, it's waking up and just getting ready for the day. For me, especially, I like to do my skincare routine. And after that, I like to be productive, meaning I I start studying or I am working on my Instagram or my blog on my other businesses. Um, yeah. So I think for me, a productive morning routine is basically to just start the day out right and just also take some time for yourself. Especially for me, I like to spend my morning alone. I don't really like to spend it with other people. So for me, it's really important to just be myself in the morning and just do stuff that matters to me. And then I will reply to all of my messages and talk to people later on in the day.
Yeah, I completely understand, especially about the just a bit of solitude in the mornings, quite nice. And you mentioned a skincare routine, and this is something that I've started to hear more and more. What's the importance of, apart from kind of general health, what's the importance of a skincare routine when you first wake up?
I think it's the part of the morning that I'm spending on myself. Like it's like to get myself ready for the day. It's just like something that I love doing for myself and something that just makes me happy and more relaxed.
Yeah, I think that would you say I should start a skincare routine? Should men do it as well?
Yeah, I definitely think that men should do it.
I think I should. My wife does has a skincare routine, but it's something I've neglected. So I think maybe I should start a skincare routine. You're balancing an awful lot of stuff, and I'm excited to talk to you about like your content creation in a second. But how do you balance, let's say, a normal day? You've got your uni work, you've got your blog, you've got content creation and your Instagram, you've got other businesses you talked about, you've got your skincare routine, your own health and fitness and all that sort of stuff. You might chill out for a second as well. I don't know. How do you structure your day or your week so you're able to get all of these different things done?
Well, I try to write everything down. For me, the most important thing that's school always comes first, and then I also have a student job that I need to take care of. So school and my student job is the most important stuff. And then I always make sure to schedule out my videos. So I use one day to film a lot of videos. And then I also try to like write a a post every third day. I'm trying to be a little bit more, I'm trying to write one every single day, but it's really difficult when you also have to go to the gym. And right now, I'm also participating in something called Top Model Europe. So I have to take care of my body, which is really difficult when you are a student and you have a lot of exams, and especially with all this social media work that I have, it's yeah, it can get difficult, but I would definitely recommend to write everything down that you have to do throughout the week, and then take the most important stuff first, and then the rest you can always do that later.
Some really good advice. Yeah, writing it down and prioritizing, definitely so important. Now you mentioned Top Model Europe there. I've got to ask you about that. What does that look like?
Well, I participated in Top Model Europe in 2022 also, but I couldn't make it to the semifinals because my flight got canceled. So I'm participating again this year, and it's basically, well, it's a lot of fun. You can do an online audition or you can do a physical audition. I am going to do an online audition because it is easier for me, and then I'm hoping to go to the semifinals and maybe even the finals this year.
And what will your preparations be like for that audition?
I'm just trying to eat healthy and I'm trying to exercise a little bit more. I don't really have a lot of time to exercise, but I have definitely scheduled like some days where I am exercising a lot. But because exams are coming up right now and because of like school and my student job, it can get really difficult to exercise sometimes, but I'm definitely prioritizing exercising a little bit more right now.
And when is that?
Top on Europe, we have to do something at the end of this month, and then I think it's going to be like you have to be at the semifinals in a month or two. I don't really know the schedule or anything like that.
Very cool. Yeah, it sounds like you do are balancing a lot of different things, which is so exciting, and it's commendable that you are doing all of these things. It really is. And you mentioned kind of health and fitness there. How important is that to you? I totally understand that sometimes exercise is hard to fit into every day. But how important is those different things so you feel confident on stage or in your videos? Does that play a part for you or not really?
It plays a big part for me, especially if I'm not eating healthy. I feel like I can't remember stuff. I get brain fog and all that. And it's like I'm not motivated to do my schoolwork or like film some videos. So I try to prioritize eating healthy. And then with exercising is so important. And I used to exercise a lot when I was younger. So right now it's also a big priority, but I have been neglecting that a lot lately because I just simply don't have time for that. But I'm definitely beginning to exercise a little bit more now.
Very good, cool. And when you do exercise, what type of exercise do you like to do?
I like to do long distance running, and I also like to do strength training.
So I like to long distance run as well. What do you like about the long distance running?
Well, I like to listen to music and I just like to run until I'm very tired because, like, when I'm running, I feel so free and it's just like a way for me to relax a little bit. I'm not thinking about all the stuff I have to do, I'm just in the moment when I'm running.
No, absolutely. I think as an introvert, it's quite a nice sport because you can just take yourself off and be in the countryside or by yourself or wherever you kind of run, and it is a nice way just to recharge the batteries and to start to feel like you can face the world again because sometimes it can be a little bit challenging. Thinking about your content and your Instagram account now. So, for those who don't know, Leila's got a huge following on Instagram. I think the last time I looked, it was about 46,000. Is that about right?
Yes.
Yeah, so a massive audience. So, the first thing before we dive into it is as an introvert, I guess it's similar to your beauty pageants. That's a lot of eyes on an introvert. How do you cope with that, I guess, because I think a lot of people would love a big following like yours, but there's probably another side to it we're not seeing. So I'm really interested just to know how do you, manage that with all those people on that account?
Well, it was really scary at first. I remember when I started gaining a lot of followers, I had like big anxiety attacks. I just couldn't open my phone because I would get either I would just like receive a lot of hate messages or like I would just receive a lot of different messages and I couldn't respond to all of them and that just scared me a lot. But I think right now it's just something that I love to do and I don't really look at all of the hate on it. I try to respond to as many people as possible and I love to talk to all these people. I think social media has definitely become like a way for me to learn about stuff and to just like talk to people. I think the fact that so many people are messaging me and want to talk, it has definitely helped me to become less of an introvert. I think like I believe since I started my social media channel and I started to gain a lot of followers, I started to become less of an introvert because if I could speak to people online, then I can also speak to people in the real world. Like it's definitely sometimes difficult for me to like speak to people in the real world, but yeah, I think social media has definitely helped me a lot.
That sounds really great, and it sounds really useful in that situation. So I'm so pleased that you're able to do that. Was there a moment? Well, actually, before I ask that, what made you start that account and start? Maybe if anybody hasn't come across your account, what type of content do you post?
Well, I post a lot of funny stuff. I post like relatable situations. If I experience something in school, then I will post about it, or like I'm just gonna post a little trend or something like that. It's basically just fun stuff. You don't have to take it so seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I found your account, I related to a lot of what you were posting about. Certainly, the bits about introversion and things. So it was really great to see. And what was the moment you thought, I'm going to start posting this type of stuff? Was it just something you thought you'd try, or was there a strategy, a plan behind it, or how did that start?
Well, at first I didn't want to be on camera, so I remember posting different like memes without me on them, and then I just thought it was like a funny thing to do just to see what happens. And then I just tried to post myself to see what happens. And I remember it gaining so much attention. Yeah, and I just started to do that for fun. And also, like, it was just a way for me to cope with a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And do you remember the moment where you maybe opened your phone and thought, wow, I've got a I'm getting a lot of followers here. Can you remember that moment?
Yeah, I remember posting a video that got like 30 million views, and it was crazy. I remember being so scared, like for going out. I remember like once I was in a store and someone like recognized me. They were shouting like Instagram or something, and I got so scared, and I was like, "Where?" And then it was about me. It was so much fun, but also a little bit scary. But yeah, it's nice to sometimes meet people who are following me. I think like it's so amazing. I never imagined that someone would come up to me and ask me for a picture or something like that. It was so crazy.
That's amazing. 30 million views on one video. What was that video? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was like a video where I had like some money that I was like, um, I think it was a video about my dad, or like the dads, brown dads, that like when you're a family or when you are asking your dad for money, they give you nothing. But when your useless relatives are asking for money, then they will give them every single thing. And so many people were relating to that video, and there's so many funny comments about it.
I mean, that's a lot of people. 30 million people. I can't even process that on one video. That is so crazy. And then to have people actually stop you in the street and say hello or take a picture. How did you cope with that as an introvert? Because I could imagine that would be quite a shock to the system if that has never happened before.
Yeah, it was quite a shock because I never imagined that someone would come up to me and ask me for a picture. Like, especially when I was younger, I was bullied a lot in school, and I was told that, like, I remember we had to take like a class photo or something that people told me, like, my classmates told me, like, to go away because they didn't want my ugly face in the picture. So, like, having people come up to me and ask me for a picture, it was kind of crazy. I didn't expect that, and also I didn't expect something like that just from a video.
I mean yeah, absolutely, exactly. Firstly, I can't believe that was happening to you at school. It just is absolutely absurd that you had to go through that, and I'm so sorry that you did. Um, but I'm so pleased that there is now 30 million people looking at some of your content and loving it, which is definitely the thing that you need to focus on. So that is just mind blowing that you're able to do that. It's so fantastic. And when it comes to your Instagram, was there a point where you were just enjoying doing it almost like a hobby? And did it turn to more right, I need to spend a bit more time on this and organize it differently and approach it differently. Was that something that happened, or did that not happen?
I think it's still a hobby. It's not something that I focus too much on. Maybe I'm spending a little bit more time on it now because some businesses are contacting me to do a partnership. So I definitely want to organize it and just be cautious about what I'm posting. But it's still kind of like a hobby.
Yeah, and what would you say to any introverts who are similar to you in that they'd love to have an Instagram account, or they'd love to be a content creator, they'd love to start to post content? What would you say to them is a good way to make a start if they are really introverted but they do want to go down a similar path to you?
I believe you should start posting something you think is fun. Maybe if you don't want to talk in the video, then maybe make a funny and relatable video where you just write a text. And don't be so scared about what your family and friends are thinking, because in the end, it's all about you, and maybe you can achieve really great success with it. And I think it would be really sad if your family or friends are stopping you from doing it. So personally, I would just recommend you to think about yourself and what you want to achieve, and not to think a lot about what other people are thinking, and just do it. Just make videos that are fun for you.
Amazing advice, amazing advice. And who knows, organically that then might turn into what yours has turned into, where it's a really great page. And I think another question around social media would be, how do you not allow all of the posts and all the trends and the different platforms and all these different things overwhelm you? How do you manage that in terms of, I know you've mentioned trends and the different types of videos that you post. How do you stay on top of that so you don't get overwhelmed?
Well, sometimes I'm just scrolling on TikTok and then I see like some trends, and like personally for me, I'm just posting about like if something happened at home or in school, I'm just gonna change that a little bit and then make some relatable stuff about it. Or sometimes I'm just like scrolling on TikTok and seeing a trend, and then I want to participate on that.
What is the next steps for your Instagram account? So you've mentioned about business partnerships, which is really cool. What else is on the cards for your Instagram account?
Well, I'm hoping to do some more talking videos. Right now, I'm not really speaking in any of my videos because, to be honest, I'm just scared to do so. But I'm hoping to maybe make some get ready with me videos, or like fun videos that I do on YouTube. I think the thing that keeps me from doing it is because I looked at my YouTube and I don't have a lot of views on YouTube, because I have done all these get ready with me videos, and like I don't get a lot of views on the videos where I'm speaking. So because of that, I don't really feel confident to do that on Instagram, but I definitely want to start to do so and just see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely, you definitely should, because you've got some real knowledge and wisdom and experiences that will help so many people. So that does sound like the next step in terms of your content. So that's really, really exciting. The other thing I was really interested in talking to you about was your passion for kind of personal development and self growth and that sort of thing. Where did that come from? Where did that first start?
I think it started um, when I kind of stopped participating in beauty pageants, because I think participating in that stuff really broke me a lot. So I had to build myself up again. So I started to focus a lot on like self improvement, personal development, and just my mental health.
And what is your favorite thing about personal development and self improvement?
Well, you always discover new things about yourself and things that you need to work on. Nobody is perfect, especially me. I'm not perfect at all. And I think just discovering the things that you could be better at and also like just discovering things that you are good at too, because when you know that you are good at something, it kind of improves your confidence. So what I like about personal development is just discovering things about yourself, like things you have to work at and things you are good at that you can express and teach other people.
Another topic that really caught my eye when I was going through your blog, which again is so good, and if you haven't already, make sure you check it out, and the link will be in the show notes, is your blog post about how to stop seeking external validation and growing your self-worth. I think that is one of the biggest topics as an introvert. I think we sometimes are really worried about other people and what other people are thinking, and that sometimes stops us from taking a chance or applying for the job or going on the audition or whatever that is. So how do you, what for those people listening who are desperate to stop seeking external validation and maybe grow their self-worth a little bit, how do we start with that? How do we start to make an impact on that type of thing?
I think the first step is to realize that you can't make everyone happy. If you are seeking external validation, that may be because you are a people pleaser. You want to make everyone happy and maybe you want everyone to like you, but you have to know that like not everyone will like you and you can't make everyone happy. So that's definitely the first step to realize. And then the second step is to start focus on yourself and what you want to achieve. And maybe the first step would definitely be to be around people who, where you are not questioning your worth. Like, especially for me, I'm focusing a lot on having less friends, but having good friends where I don't feel like I need to always like explain stuff. I don't need to like be a people pleaser in order for them to like me.
Yeah, I think it's a really great comment, and I think that last point about friends and it's more the how good of a friend they are more than the quantity of friends you have. So that I mean that is something that I really value. So I've got a really it's hard to get into my circle, if you want to call it that, and there's only people who I really trust and have a great connection with, and they like me, I like them. Whereas I, in younger years, when I was younger, I changed who I was to please the people around me at this place of work. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older and reflected on that and kind of thought, actually, am I being my authentic self here? Am I, loving myself enough here? Or am I being someone I don't even recognize? And it wasn't until that point where I started to improve my mental health, started to actually go after the things I wanted in my life, and started to progress in a really good way. So I think that everything you're saying is absolutely right. And it's one of the key skills when you're able to stop seeking external validation and just focus on yourself. I think that can change you in a really, really positive way. And was there a time in your life, Leila, where you did seek that external validation and realized, actually, I need to change how I am viewing this?
Yeah, I did that a lot in high school. I remember like I was an introvert, so I didn't like to go to parties and I didn't want to participate in the drinking culture. But I still tried to change myself for the people around me. I remember there was like this big group of friends that I really wanted to be friends with, but I don't think they wanted to be friends with me because I was boring and I never went to any parties and I didn't drink. Um, so I tried to change myself, like not in a bad way, like not start. I didn't start party or drinking or anything like that, but I tried to act in a different way, and I tried to please others. I remember, like I was like really good in school, And I remember just giving like answers to the other people so they would like me. And I would even write someone's essay and all that stuff. And when I look back at it, I just think it was so stupid. And I also remember when I started in university, it was so hard for me to make friends. And I remember there was this group of people that I really wanted to be friends with because I thought they were cool. So I changed the way that I dressed and just like the way I spoke. And yeah, I just changed myself completely and became a person that I didn't want to be.
What was that moment you realized that you could actually be the person who you are and you want to be? What was that moment like?
Well, I remember I was so miserable and I was like, I had all those friends, but I wasn't happy at all. Yeah, it was like people I couldn't trust and I didn't feel safe with them or anything like that. So I began to focus a lot more on myself and try to like be an introvert and just really like focus on myself, not speak to a lot of people, just like some of the people that I thought resonated with me. And it made me more happy. I began doing a lot of things that I was scared to do before because of this friend group, because I thought they wouldn't like it. And I also remember starting social media, and this friend group would message me and tell me that I'm lame and all that stuff. But I didn't listen to them. I started to focus a lot on myself, and because of that, I have the amount of followers that I have now.
Absolutely, it's such a powerful story, and yeah, it's one that I'm sure a lot of introverts will be able to resonate with. I remember one of my stories is that when I was a little bit younger, I also wanted to be really cool, and one of the things that I didn't want to be was like a geek, I guess is the phrase. But really, I am a major geek and I'm a major nerd or what whatever the word is. And I love that. I really love being a nerd or a geek and something that I never would admit to at school was things like I like to read books or I like to watch superhero movies and or stuff like that. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older when me and one of my closest friends also realized we liked these kind types of things and it was okay to do that. And we, had still have a great relationship and we still go to the cinema and watch superhero movies when they come out and we are really nerdy and really geeky. But that's given me a ton of confidence and allowed me to be my most authentic self. So I think that it's such an important thing, accepting yourself and doing the things you believe are right. So important.
Yeah, and also to set boundaries and just know when to say stop.
Absolutely. The other blog post I really was excited to talk to you about, Leila, was one of your most recent ones because I think this could really be helpful when it comes to for those who are listening, and that's about managing fatigue and anxiety and the iron deficiency that goes along with that. So I was really hoping for you just to give us a little bit of background to what that actually means for us because I think fatigue and anxiety are two of the biggest challenges in the world today. So if we can do something to help that, we definitely should.
Yes, like I have been so tired lately. To be honest, I have been overworked. I haven't had the amount of sleep that you should have, and it led to me being so tired. And then lately, I just discovered that I was iron deficient. So that explains a lot about like a lot of stuff that happened. But I think about fatigue, I think you need to realize when you are tired because sometimes I think like, oh, I'm just lazy. I'm not because, yeah, I don't want to do certain stuff. But then I just realized it's not because I'm lazy. It's basically because I've been working so much throughout the whole week and I have been dealing with a lot of like stuff both like mentally and physically, and this is why I'm tired, and this is why I don't want to do this and this and this. It's not because I'm lazy, it's just because I need a break.
So what can we actually do to help with those things? Is it just as simple as having an iron tablet, or what does that kind of look like?
I think for me, right now, I'm trying to reserve like one day for myself. It's a day where I don't work, I don't focus on school. I just spend the day by myself and I'm doing whatever makes me relax. Maybe it's watching a movie, or maybe it's just going for a walk. I'm trying to not do it with other people. I think like this is a day for myself. So just have like one day every week or like every other week where you just spend it on yourself and you do stuff that makes you happy and relaxed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important. And that little difference, that day or even that hour, if you can take yourself away, can be transformational and you can come back refreshed and ready to go again. So, yeah, really great advice. And before we kind of wrap this up, Leila, if there's somebody listening and they are introverted, maybe they're in a bad place, or they are allowing their introversion to stop them taking major action on their goals and their dreams, what would you say to that person to get them going?
Um, Take one step at a time and just focus on yourself. Try not to focus a lot on what other people are thinking. Try to focus on what makes you happy, because like in 100 years, or like when you are old, you will probably regret if you didn't do a lot of the stuff that you wanted to do. So personally for me, I'm just imagining myself being old, and then watch myself like when I was younger, and then I kind of get to the realization that if I'm old and I haven't done all these things that I wanted to do because I was scared of what other people were thinking, then I would probably regret that, because like I've just wasted my life. So I would say you should probably just do it, because yeah, everyone is gonna die anyway. So there's no reason for you to focus on what everyone else are doing.
Take some action. A little bit of action's all you need, which is really great advice. And what's next for you then, Leila? You know, what does the rest of 2024 look like? What's coming up for you?
Well, I'm hoping to focus a little bit more on my YouTube channel. I'm hoping like it can become a little bit as big as my blog right now. I like to do vlogs and also like funny videos on my YouTube channel. So I want to focus a little bit more on that. But either way, I'm gonna focus on my blog and also on my Instagram as well.
Amazing. And if anybody wants to, I'm sure they will, come and support you and follow you and find out more about you, where are the best places for them to come and do that?
On Instagram, Leila Levchenko.
And your website's leilalevchenko.com as well, isn't it?
Yes, I also have a link in my bio on my Instagram if you want to check it out.
Perfect. And I'll put all of your details in the show notes as well, so everybody can find you. That is perfect. Well, Leila, thank you so much for today. It has been an absolute pleasure to hear about everything you do. And I think it's so refreshing and impactful and open and honest. And it is going to be helping so many people. So I'm just really thankful for your time today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I loved everything about this conversation.
So that brings us to the end of another episode of the Unstoppable Introvert Project. A huge thank you to our incredible guest, Leila. And to everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, your introversion isn't the thing that will hold you back. It is the thing that will catapult you towards greatness. So until next time, stay unstoppable.